Kingdom Hearts, a video game series that started all the way back in 2002 and managed to successfully combine the two vastly different fictional universes of Disney and Final Fantasy, consequently impressing millions of people. And though that odd combination is one of the major factors that defines Kingdom Hearts and is often mentioned first when people talk about the franchise even nowadays, it is certainly not the only reason why the games exploded in popularity, proven by the beautiful visuals, fantastic music, and constant addition of new innovative features that came with almost every new part of the series. The Kingdom Hearts franchise has spawned a total of 13 games so far, with more sequels already on the horizon. And not just that, but rather than being exclusive to a specific platform, Kingdom Hearts games exist on a vast amount of different consoles and other platforms, spanning from the Game Boy Advance all the way to PlayStation, Xbox, and even mobile phones. And while we can thankfully avoid the extremely messy plot that ties all of the titles together, we will instead take a look at something that is almost equally as intimidating: the rarest achievement in all of the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Hey friends, and welcome to another video. Today we will take a look at each individual Kingdom Hearts title and its respective rarest achievement, and then rank them from most common to least common. That way, we will be left with only the absolutely rarest achievement in the entire Kingdom Hearts series. Note that we will always look at the earliest released version of every game that came with implemented achievements, and won't factor in any of the DLC, recent remasters, which there are plenty of in Kingdom Hearts, or other such things. So, with all that said, let's make our way through the many fantastic Disney worlds and figure out which achievement is the single rarest one in all of Kingdom Hearts. Coming in at rank 8, the very top of our list, we have Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, a rhythm-based action game that takes you through the most iconic Disney and Kingdom Hearts worlds while hitting the right buttons on your gamepad in accordance with the many different OSTs of the Kingdom Hearts games that are playing at the same time. Achievement-wise, the hardest one you can possibly earn in Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory is called Enemy Buster, with a very rare completion rate of 9.8%, requiring you to stylishly dispose of 100,000 enemies. Now, while a crazy high number like 100,000 in and of itself is enough to raise some eyebrows, things become even more insane when we put them into context and consider that even if you purposely beat the hardest stages with the most enemies over and over again, you will on average only kill around 400 enemies while doing so. The Dark Domination OST on the hardest difficulty, for example, will throw 416 enemies during a span of 2 minutes at you, therefore making it one of the most efficient ways to farm enemies in the entire game. But on the other hand, it is arguably the hardest level, so successfully making it through while getting rid of every enemy and not dying can prove quite hard, and depending on your skill level, could as well result in utter failure. I would personally say that the key to beating this achievement in the fastest way possible is a realistic look at how good you are at the game. If you can reliably beat the harder stages over and over again and don't usually mess up, then definitely go for it. But if you're like me and just looking at those chaotic scenes gives you anxiety, then it will definitely pay off much more if you stick to the easier levels and beat those successfully, rather than trying and failing at the hardest ones over and over again, no matter how you end up doing it. To gain even the most common achievement in all of the Kingdom Hearts series, you will already have to show a good portion of patience and persistence while you smash an astonishing 100,000 enemies to bits. Best of luck to you. Kingdom Hearts 3 takes the 7th rank on our list with the Synthesis achievement and a completion rate of an ultra rare 4%, despite still being on the very top of our list. As you can probably guess from the name, this one revolves all around crafting different items with lots of rare and unique materials you gather throughout the different worlds you visit on your journey. Before you can even get to the gathering part, you first need to complete a set of mini missions that require you to take pictures of very specific landmarks or characters, such as the Demon Tower or Olaf, the snowman from the Frozen universe. Every time you complete one of those missions where you snap the desired photo, will unlock a new material that is necessary for crafting the required items. Not only that, but to unlock the recipes themselves that will allow you to craft the final product, you will also first need to collect a certain amount of different crafting materials. Only once you've overcome these two obstacles can we get to the actual part that requires completion for this achievement, crafting a total of 88 different items. And if you've ever been brave enough to take a really deep dive into basically any JRPG that contained a similar crafting system, you can probably imagine what this means and are most likely already experiencing some sort of PTSD. But for those of you that are fortunate or unfortunate enough to go through this the first time, let me explain. Out of the 88 different items you need to craft, a good amount of them are very basic and don't require any rare ingredients, nor will they ask you for a large quantity of the common materials you basically find everywhere. Good examples for those items I just mentioned are the Mega Potion or Ether, which you can synthesize very easily. But as you make your way down the list of craftable items, you'll soon notice that common crafting components will disappear entirely and get replaced with extremely rare materials, such as Orichalcum Plus, which you need for the ultimate Ultima Keyblade, an exceptionally strong weapon that Sora can be equipped with. Contrary to other materials, Orichalcum Plus is finite, meaning that there are only 7 of these components in the entire game, and while most of them are simply just hidden in different chests around the worlds you come across, there are 2 exceptions. One requires you to beat a very nasty boss while flying the Gummy ship, and the other one asks you to get the highest score in 7 different minigames. Only if you get all these requirements done will you find the required amount of Orichalcum Plus, which, sadly, is just one of the 4 rare components needed to craft the Ultima weapon. So while I obviously can't talk about each of the 88 items in depth, let's just say that a lot of them require similar grinding to obtain the required materials, with some of the crafting components having a very low drop rate and being uniquely tied to a single kind of monster, while others can be acquired through chests or destroying multiple different enemies. So to summarize everything I just talked about, the grind for the required crafting materials will probably keep you busy for quite a while and will have you chasing after different monsters and exploring hidden corners in the many different universes the game has to offer long after you beat the initial story of Kingdom Hearts 3. And while there are certain items and talents you can and should use to improve your item discovery rate, the process itself is still going to be very time consuming. So make sure that you have something to keep you distracted and get ready for many long hours that you'll spend by clubbing funny shaped creatures to death in hopes of finding your desired extra rare crafting materials. Next, we have Kingdom Hearts 2, with the Top Gun achievement that sits at an ultra-rare 3.1% completion. Top Gun requires you to get an S rank on one Gummy Ship EX mission for all the different routes that connect the in-game universes. While at first that doesn't sound too bad, this is again an achievement that requires lots of previous conditions to be met before you can even start getting to the actual objective, which is something the Kingdom Hearts series really likes to do with its achievements. But let's start at the beginning. Next to the gameplay that you'll be confronted with most of the time, where you journey through different universes, fight the Heartless and Nobodies, and meet lots of popular Disney characters, there's another gameplay element to the Kingdom Hearts games which is far less popular: the Gummy Ship sections. To be able to travel between the different Disney worlds, Sora, Donald and Goofy use a Gummy Ship and shoot their way through meteors, dodge obstacles and blast down hostile ships. Only if you successfully complete these segments are you allowed to enter a new world and can consequently progress the story. And while any casual player will most likely only go through the different Gummy Ship trips once, simply for the reason of wanting to advance the story and enter the next world, there are actually many different optional missions and objectives you can complete while flying from Universe A to Universe B. Those missions each have specific requirements you need to meet and will grade your performance, with the highest mark you can get being an S rank. There are many different objectives that change depending on which mission you tackle, such as collecting a certain amount of medals or shooting down a large number of enemies. Once you did manage to get an S rank in one of those regular missions, you then finally unlock the EX mission for the specific route you're on, and can now finally begin to tackle the actual Top Gun achievement. An EX Gummy Ship mission is actually pretty similar to the normal ones, with the one key difference being that there are specific requirements for how you modify your ship. For example, there is a mission that asks you to build and fly a ship with less than 50 HP, one that wants you to equip it with 8 different abilities, others that want you to use a special kind of weapon to dispose of your enemies, and so on. The real difficulty with this achievement isn't even necessarily that it's skill dependent or grindy, as you can pick the missions that you like best out of multiple options, but rather the fact that you're forced to get familiar with an element of the Kingdom Hearts games that has never been too popular. Personally, I absolutely hate the Gummy Ship portions of the game and was never able to build a halfway decent ship, as the workshop section where you build your ship is a freaking nightmare to me and far too much to handle for my monkey brain, so I can definitely relate to the people that hate this achievement. However, if you're decent at building effective Gummy ships and enjoy the space trips between the different worlds, then the Top Gun achievement should be rather easily doable for you, and will reward you with an ultra rare achievement that most players just can't get themselves to complete. We're moving on to the next entry on our list, Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a Fragmentary Passage. And yes, there's an actual marketing team working at Square Enix that keeps coming up and getting paid for writing those bizarre titles that sound like a mathematical equation. But anyway, a Fragmentary Passage acts as a prequel to Kingdom Hearts 3 and follows Aqua, one of the former protagonists, on her journey through darkness. The rarest achievement you can get in this title is fittingly called Ambitious, with a completion rate of just 2.4%. Ambitious requires you to complete every single objective there is. There are a total of 51 objectives in the game, and each of them will ask you to complete a different task. There are objectives for killing a certain number of specific enemy types, particular interactions with the environment or exploration, and then there are even some objectives that ask you to tie together unique and skillful combos in combat so that you can get rid of your enemies in the most stylish way. And while those objectives or challenges I just talked about don't sound all that bad, and Fragmentary Passage is a pretty short title, believe me when I tell you that there is a reason for the very low completion rate on this achievement. For starters, the hardest difficulty, Critical Mode, which you you are required to play in so that you can unlock a specific objective, is not even available from the beginning, but requires you to do an entire playthrough first to unlock it, meaning that you will, at the very least, have to beat the game twice so that you can complete all of the 51 of those objectives. On top of that, some of the nastier ones require you to complete fights without taking any damage, force you once again to grind away and mindlessly kill Heartless so you can earn enough XP to get Aqua to the highest level, and some are even missable, as they can only be completed during specific parts of the game or while fighting unique bosses, so messing up any of those objectives will force you to reset and lose a huge chunk of your progress. Luckily, there are fantastic guides out there which offer workarounds and tips for every single one of the 51 objectives, such as where you can most efficiently farm XP or step-by-step guides that walk you through the harder boss fights on critical mode. I highly recommend that you take a look at one of the many different guides out there if you ever find yourself being frustrated with one of the objectives. Other than that, Ambitious is definitely very challenging, and other than some of the achievements on this list that we looked at already, it doesn't just require you to mindlessly grind away and farm XP, but certainly asks for a demonstration of your raw skill as well, therefore rightfully earning it the 5th spot on this list. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep comes in at rank 4, and yes, this is a completely different game than the previous entry we talked about. The rarest achievement here is the Adventurer, Ventus, achieved by just 2.1% of all the players. Unlike the previous games, Birth by Sleep puts you in charge of 3 different characters that all aspire to be a Keyblade master, and once again, earning the rarest achievement in one of the Kingdom Hearts games is pretty straightforward, as all this achievement wants you to do is, well, basically everything there is to do. You see, ever since the release of the first Kingdom Hearts game, there's a journal that you can access through the menu that keeps track of different milestones you reach, such as meeting and defeating certain monsters, finding all of the chests that are scattered throughout the different Disney universes, and so on. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep continues this tradition, but this time there are 3 protagonists with unique stories and paths to take throughout the game, meaning that for each of the 3 characters and the connected parts of the game that you play through with them, you need to complete all of the enemy entries, beat all the minigames, summon all the characters that can help you in combat, use every available attack and combo your protagonist can pull off, and do every single side quest. Only then will you be able to get the full completion. The silver lining here is the journal itself, as it lets you keep track of the exact requirements that still have to be met while also allowing you to look at the things you've already completed. People that have beaten the specific achievement recommend that you closely follow a guide and get the collectible stone as soon as you possibly can, since some of the entries you need are indeed missable and will require you to reload an earlier save file if you don't unlock them before reaching a certain checkpoint. Another positive thing is that next to the Adventurer Ventus, you will get one ultra rare achievement each time you complete these unique entries for their respective protagonist. And while I'm not quite sure why the achievement that involves Ventus has the lowest completion rate out of all of them, I can certainly tell that all of them are incredibly grindy and time consuming. On top of that, Birth by Sleep is notorious for its difficult boss fights and elaborate story, so I only recommend going for this achievement if you're a true fan of the Kingdom Hearts series and don't mind spending dozens of hours on exploring, combat, and reading up on guides. Earning the bronze medal on this list, we have the very first Kingdom Hearts with its Gummy Ship Collector achievement. As you can tell by the name of the achievement, this one will once again force you to interact with what is probably the most hated part of the Kingdom Hearts series and have you spend lots of time with the Gummy Ship. To earn the crazy rare Gummy Ship Collector achievement with a completion rate of just 1.9%, you need to collect every single blueprint for the different Gummy Ship models. While some of them can be obtained by shooting down enemy ships you encounter as you're flying from world to world, others will be given to you automatically once you beat specific bosses or complete other major events in the story of Kingdom Hearts. Not unlike the crafting materials in Kingdom Hearts 3, the blueprints vary in rarity and some of them are extremely tedious to unlock. The Hyperion blueprint will only become available once you've dealt with 5,000 Heartless and collected all the different Disney characters you can summon to help you in combat. Then, there are blueprints which are exclusively locked behind the Gummy Ship missions we talked about in Kingdom Hearts 2. They basically work in the exact same way here as they did in Part 2, the only difference being that to truly obtain all the blueprints, you do need to actually beat every single Gummy Ship mission in this game, with some of them asking you to modify your ship with very specific weapons, which you realistically can't do without first properly understanding the Gummy Ship workshop, the modifiers for the ship, and the different guns you can equip it with. And even if you do figure that part out, the missions themselves are still insanely tedious and will ask you to perform ridiculous feats, such as not taking any damage and not shooting any enemy ships down while you travel from world A to B, using just 10 gummy blocks to build your ship while also shooting down at least 777 obstacles, and so on. As you can imagine by now, getting all of the Gummy Ship blueprints is a chore and will take you a lot of time, skill, and patience to complete. And to add insult to injury, listen to this. The later version of Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 that dropped for the newer console generations also included this achievement, but actually made it much easier to obtain, only requesting the players to find 30 Gummy Ship blueprints rather than all of them. And this seemingly small difference made the completion rate for the Gummy Ship Collector achievement a whole 2.1% more common, as it sits on a 4% completion rate for the PS4 version of the same game. Though finding 30 blueprints isn't exactly a walk in the park either, it still beats means having to find all of them, and consequently having to beat all the gummy ship missions. However, if you do want to earn the third rarest achievement in all of the Kingdom Hearts series, you must do it in the one and only Kingdom Hearts 1.5 remix. So saddle up, make sure you don't get frustrated, and experiment with all kinds of different builds and modifications for your gummy ship, as only the very best pilots out there will be able to unlock this specific achievement. Kingdom Hearts RE Chain of Memories ranks second on this list with the Level Master Riku achievement that has a completion rate of 1.8%, just barely beating the third spot on this list. This ultra rare achievement requires you to get the secondary protagonist of the game, Riku, to level 99. Chain of Memories introduced a very unique combat system to the Kingdom Hearts franchise, where instead of mashing buttons like in the other titles, you instead use a deck of cards for combat. As you progress through the story and explore the different environments, you will find more and more cards, allowing you to modify your deck with different monster, magic, and summoning cards, which means that you can constantly discover new ways to approach and handle different fights. The experience and leveling system stay mostly the same though, so it's still possible to rank up and expand your abilities and your deck of cards after killing a certain amount of Heartless and picking up the XP they drop. As usual in the Kingdom Hearts games, the maximum level you can reach is still 99 and requires a ton of experience points to reach. That alone is not the issue though, as the story for Sora, the primary protagonist in this game, is quite long and will provide many monsters you can creatively get rid of, consequently offering many ways to farm XP. Next to Sora, you can also play as Riku in this game, and here is where things actually get problematic. While Sora's campaign will take you around 10 hours to complete, the part of the game where you play as Riku only covers around half that time, consequently making it much harder to somehow earn the required 1,310,000 XP that you need to hit the maxed level. As we've seen many times in the series up till now, this is yet another extremely grindy challenge that will have you running circles around certain areas in the game and mindlessly complete battles hundreds of times so that you can gather the necessary XP. Thankfully, there's once again really good guides out there that offer multiple different strategies on card combinations and areas where you can farm XP as efficiently as possible. So once again, rather than being difficult and requiring actual skill, the real challenge with this achievement lies in the sheer amount of persistence it will take you to endure the same dull battles time after time again, just so you can scrape together the necessary experience to get Riku to the maximum level. And with all of that said, let's move on to the next entries in this list. Before we get to the number one spot on this list and find out what the absolutely rarest achievement in all of the Kingdom Hearts games is, there are some titles that I just couldn't really rank properly due to their unique nature and would still like to at least talk about. As you probably know by now and proven by this list, the initial success of the very first Kingdom Hearts game has spawned an incredible amount of sequels, which were spread across a crazy amount of different platforms. And while most of the games have been either put in a collection, remastered, or altered in specific ways so that they could be played on the Xbox and PlayStation consoles, other titles were sadly not that fortunate and didn't receive a proper port, but were sadly turned into cinematics only, without any gameplay to them. So while those titles don't offer any action-filled gameplay, they will thankfully still bless you with an insight into the Kingdom Hearts story and its fantastic writing.
Because I'm you. No, I'm me. I'm me, he says.
One of these titles was Kingdom Hearts RE Coded, which originally released for the Nintendo DS and acted as a direct sequel to Kingdom Hearts 2. And the other one was Kingdom Hearts 358 divided by 2 days, which instead acted as a prequel to Kingdom Hearts 2, and originally released on the 3DS. Bizarrely enough, even though the games have both been stripped of their gameplay and turned into nothing more than cinematics you could watch, they still came with implemented achievements that you could earn. And if you now rightfully ask yourself what you'd possibly have to do to unlock achievements in games that were basically stripped down and turned into nothing but cinematics, well, you'd simply just have to watch the cutscenes and look at the character entries. Doing just those things will reward you with the RE Coded Master and the 358 divided by 2 Master achievements respectively, and earn you some nice, shiny achievements for basically doing nothing else than watching cutscenes. I hope you can see why I didn't properly rank those two titles in this list. And while I do find it very sad that the games have no actual gameplay, they at the very least both come with the Kingdom Hearts 2.5 remix, and there's absolutely no shame in sacking those two achievements. And with these two games now covered, let's finally move on to the rarest achievement in all of Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance takes the first spot on this list with the absolutely rarest achievement in the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise, Record Keeper. Having a completion rate of 1.7%, it just barely managed to beat rank 2 and 3, but still came out on the very top. And as we've already seen on this list, Record Keeper is a pretty straightforward achievement and tells you right away that it will be an immense pain to complete, as the requirements to unlock it are as follows. Achieve 100% completion in combat, story, items, and game records, meaning that you straight up just have to complete every single thing the game has to offer. Fortunately, the game rewards you with a respective achievement for completing each one of those objectives. So you'll get a sweet dopamine shot every time you get one of these huge tasks done while working towards the actual goal, the Record Keeper achievement. The thing with achievements like this one is that it's extremely hard to properly explain just how grindy they are to someone who isn't too familiar with the Kingdom Hearts games themselves, as the description of Record Keeper makes it seem like a rather innocent achievement, but not further explaining the horror you have to go through to unlock the Record Keeper achievement wouldn't do the poor souls who actually earn it justice. So let me give you an idea on just how much of a pain this task actually is to complete. Each one of the required tasks that need to be fully completed is basically a compilation of different tasks in and of itself. And to show you an actual example, let's take a closer look at the combat task and what it takes to fully complete it. First of all, you need to become extremely skilled at the very unique card game called Flick Rush, which is basically a pretty elaborate minigame where you collect monsters, form a team with them, and then use specific cards to choose their attacks or behavior while they face off against another team of monsters in combat. Then, there are special portals which are basically a set of mini challenges where you need to kill a specific constellation of Heartless over and over again, both with Sora and Riku. And finally, there are secret portals which are basically the same thing but only become accessible to you once you've beaten the game and contain much stronger enemies within. So to put that into context, all the information I just provided will only serve you to finish one portion of the overall required 100% completion the Record Keeper achievement asks for, which means that you have to go through a similar grind and spend a ton of time on the other mentioned objectives as well. Record Keeper is an incredibly tedious and time-consuming achievement, which is definitely why it has this incredibly low completion rate. But on the bright side, if you do force yourself to meet the requirements of Record Keeper, you can rightfully call yourself the owner of the rarest achievement in all of the Kingdom Hearts series and have officially earned unlimited bragging rights. So if the temptation is still there and you're willing to try and sack this incredibly rare achievement, I wish you the absolute best of luck and nerves of steel. So friends, we've once again come to the end of the video. What do you think? Were you surprised about the rankings at all? And which achievement out of all the Kingdom Hearts series do you personally find the worst? Please make sure to let me know about your thoughts in the comments, as I really value and appreciate your feedback. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and a subscription. And if you have any idea for another video game series you'd like to see in this format, feel free to let me know about that too. We already cover quite some different franchises, such as Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, and many more, which you can all find in this playlist right here. As always, and most importantly, thank you so much for spending your precious time by watching my content. It means the world to me. See you in the next video, my friends, and be well.